It all began like any ordinary Monday morning at Easton Ridge Elementary School, the kind of place where the scent of sharpened pencils and floor wax lingers in the halls, and every teacher has their own chipped mug. Mrs. Callahan, the fifth-grade teacher, had called in sick, a flu probably, and Principal Langford was scrambling to find a substitute. At exactly 7:30 a.m., an email arrived in his inbox. Substitute assigned, M. Avery. He didn't recognize the name, but the subsystem was automated. Problem solved, he thought. At least, that's what he believed. At 7:45 a.m., a silver sedan pulled into the staff parking lot. A woman stepped out. Tall, neatly dressed, her clothes pressed to perfection, as if she'd stepped out of an old photograph. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression calm and polite. She greeted him with a soft smile. "Good morning, I'm Miss Avery. I believe I'm filling in for Mrs. Callahan." Her tone was composed, almost soothing, but something in her gaze felt too steady, too focused. Principal Langford led her to room 23. She stood in the doorway for a long moment, then whispered, "So it's here, then." Seeing his confusion, she added quickly, "Nothing, just a memory." A few minutes later, the students poured in, noisy, half asleep, dragging their backpacks and unfinished breakfasts. When the bell rang, Miss Avery was already standing at the board, hands clasped. "Good morning, everyone," she said softly. Then she took attendance, flawlessly. Every name, every pronunciation, even that of the new transfer student whose name hadn't yet been added to the printed list. Some kids giggled, others just stared. "How do you know our names?" a little girl asked. Miss Avery smiled gently. "I always remember my students." At lunchtime, the teacher's lounge buzzed with whispers. "She's strange," murmured Mrs. Nguyen, the art teacher. "She didn't eat anything. Just sat there reading an old notebook." The janitor added, "Her car was already here when I got in." Around 5 this morning, curious Principal Langford logged into the district system to check her file. Nothing seemed odd until he noticed one detail: no photo, no certifications, no employment history, just a name, Avery, Margaret. He called the district office. The secretary, puzzled, said, "Sir, that employee ID doesn't exist." "Are you sure you typed it right?" He hadn't made a mistake. Meanwhile, in room 23, Miss Avery was teaching history. The usually restless students sat silent and still. She spoke of battles and forgotten kings with uncanny precision, as if she'd been there herself. She had no notes, no textbook. When one student asked how she knew all that, she simply replied, "I remember." Her eyes drifted briefly to the window, then back to the class. Her smile lingered, a little too long. At 3 p.m., the bell rang. The children left. The halls grew quiet. But at 8 p.m., while making his rounds, the janitor noticed a light still glowing in room 23. He peeked through the glass and froze. The desks had been moved into a perfect circle. At the center, Miss Avery stood motionless, whispering something as her fingers traced the whiteboard. When he opened the door, the room was empty. Only one word remained written in chalk: tomorrow. The next morning, she was gone. No car, no bag, nothing. Except for a message written in perfect cursive on the board. "Thank you for letting me teach again." The desks were still in a circle, every pencil lined up on the edge, every notebook open to the same page. A disturbing precision, almost ritualistic. Langford called the police. Security footage was reviewed. From 7:02 p.m. to 6:18 a.m., the recording showed nothing but static, like an old, flickering television. Exactly the same interference reported years ago, the night of the fire. Because, yes, there had been a fire, decades earlier. In that very same room 23, a teacher had stayed late to grade papers. The cause of the blaze was never determined, but several witnesses swore they'd heard a woman screaming inside. Her name? Margaret Avery. Her file had been sealed. Her body was never found. Weeks passed and school life went on, but the rumors began to spread. Some children claimed to hear footsteps in the empty room after hours. The janitor found messages written in chalk, homework for Friday, or be kind to one another. Teachers discovered handwritten attendance sheets signed E.M. Avery. Even the office printer began spitting out lesson plans dated 1987, the year of the fire. One night, Principal Langford stayed late to close the building. The halls were quiet, dimly lit. As he passed room 23, he noticed the door slightly ajar. Inside lingered a faint, old-fashioned scent, perfume mixed with smoke. The board looked clean, except for one line scrawled at the bottom. "Tomorrow's lesson. The children remember me." A chill crept up his spine. He reached for the light switch. But before his hand touched it, a soft voice whispered behind him, "Good evening, Mr. Langford." The lights flickered once. When they came back on, the room was empty. No sound, no shadow, only a small piece of chalk rolling slowly across the floor. Since that night, no teacher has lasted more than a week in room 23. Some claim to see a woman's silhouette near the board at dawn. Others swear they've heard her voice, teaching on stormy nights. Each year, on the anniversary of the fire, a notification still appears in the district's automatic system. Substitute assigned, M. Avery. But no one knows where it comes from. The server doesn't generate it, and yet at 7:45 a.m., a silver sedan always pulls into the parking lot. No one sees it arrive, no one sees it leave. The substitute isn't just a ghost story. It's a reminder. Some passions never die. They cling to places, to memories, to the faces of yesterday. And sometimes, what we think is gone comes back to reclaim its place. Because some teachers never truly stop teaching.